Welcome back to the vlog, to all 9 of my subscribers. It has been a minute. I think the last vlog, was February 10th. Today it is March 24th. So it's been a minute. If you don't know me, why would you? I'm Shantae. Go by the Maestro. I am an online business coach, but I really enjoy AI, namely LLMs, and I decided to chronicle my adventure, my foray into learning how to vibe code and AI assisted coding, and just going down that rabbit hole and just kind of building in public and holding myself accountable to actually continuing to use it, which realistically I don't even need to hold myself accountable. I use this stuff all the time. But I just have been really busy and haven't made this video. I have a podcast that comes out every single week. It's called Prompting Curiosity. I actually just used AI to do a big rebrand of it because it was called ChatGPT Curious, and ChatGPT, OpenAI, their behavior is too bad. I can't ignore it. So we moved away from them fully. We're all in on Claude Code. I think maybe my last vlog post was about going all in on them. And I did the full rebrand and everything. So the latest project, and that's why I'm on here, because I really enjoy this vlog because it gives me a place to talk about this stuff in a slightly different manner. So I have the podcast, I have the AI podcast, Prompting Curiosity, but for that demographic, I'm kind of trying to teach and make it digestible. Whereas on here, I just can come on here and talk my shit. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. But I'm using this as a way to teach myself and as a way to learn. And honestly, my hope is that someone stumbles across this that is thinking about using AI and thinking about trying to build things and is like, oh, that person's doing it. Maybe I can do it too. And I feel less alone. And then they get started. So all in on Claude, and wasn't really using Claude Code yet. From a marketing perspective, then that's where I live. I got an online business. I've said this time and time again. It feels very backwards. It's AI in general, right? LLMs in general. Typically with a product, right, you find an audience first. You build an audience first, and then you listen to them and you say, what problem do you have? And then you build something to solve the problem that your audience has. AI, LLMs, it's backwards. It's here's a solution, go find a problem. I didn't have a problem that Claude Code could help me with. I was just like, well, here it is. I don't really understand it. I'll use Claude. I love projects. I'm just a project master. And then I decided to work on my podcast workflow. And so the old workflow was quite long. So I have 2 podcasts. The one that I keep referencing, Prompting Curiosity, I also turn that into a blog, and I turn it into a newsletter. And that's really what the extra lift comes from, is that I'd have a very in-depth outline that I write. I record the episode. From there, I have to create the actual podcast episode on the website. I have Claude turn the outline into what I call the companion, which is the newsletter and the blog that's going to go out. I have it generate the show notes. I have to copy the show notes, put that onto the website. I have to copy the companion. So I edit all of that first. Then I have to copy it and put it onto the website. I copy it and put it into the newsletter. And this is a ton of copy and pasting. For the sake of this episode, of this blog, I have this. That's a summary of what I have to do. And I was like, I feel like I'm copying and pasting my whole life. I'm copying it out of Claude, and I have to copy it and create a document inside of Google Drive, because that's where I do all of my stuff. And it's just like a lot of copy and paste and moving around. And I was like, I think I can automate this. I think that I can have Claude do something so that it is creating rather, the documents inside of Drive, and that it's creating drafts in my WordPress website. And also, I'm going to call it ConvertKit because it's weird calling it Kit. And so that's what I did. So the new flow, so much better. I still do my significant outline, but from there I have a single command, npm generate. I put the title, the podcast, the episode number and title. It's all in a folder already. It generates the show notes for me. It generates the companion for me, creates the documents inside of that Google Drive folder. It gives me the prompt that I use to create the image, because Claude doesn't do images. It gives me the text for the preview, because I have a blog, and so I want the little preview text. It gives me all of that. I go into Drive, I edit it, And then from there, I go back to the command line. We're going to get into that. I go back to the command line. I enter npm. In this case, I think it's publish, npm publish, and then the name of the episode, title of the episode, and it will go into Drive. It pulls it. It shoots it over to the website. It shoots it over the podcast to the website, the show notes. It shoots over the blog post, and it generates the email inside of ConvertKit. And all I have to do is just go and check and just make sure it's there. And then I just schedule it, and it's so much faster. I did it for the first time today. I ran it officially for the first time today, and that's why I'm recording this, because part of the reason that I like making these vlogs is that it just gets the energy out. I'm just like, this is so cool, and it did it, and like I'm just so happy. It really scratches an itch, and like in my brain, and really lights up my brain as well. So to make this, like ultimately what this is, right? It's a custom Node.js command line tool. Right? That is 100% straight up what it is. Custom Node.js command line tool. AKA, I had Claude Code create a bunch of files that tell Node.js what to do and allows it to read, write, interact with, communicate with my Google Drive, my website, and ConvertKit, right? Because it's a deterministic process, right? It's the same process that happens every time. When I say we, I mean me and Claude, my French assistant, right? We went the API route instead of using MCP servers. When I was thinking about this and talking to Claude about it and reading up on it, I thought I was going to do MCP servers in a claude.md file, and we didn't do that. And I'm happy that we didn't do it. Right? The only time that actually Claude is involved in this process is to create the actual companion and to create the show notes. But after that, there is no Claude. Claude ain't doing anything, which is really cool. It kept pushing me to try and use the Claude API, and I was like, mother bitches, I pay for Claude. I'm only in the $20 plan for what it's worth. I pay for Claude, and this should be able to do it through this. Why are you trying to make me use the API? And it was like, it'll just be pennies. And I'm like, I want to save my pennies. In this economy, I am saving my pennies. So there was some troubleshooting that we had to do, but it would turn out fine. So the troubleshooting main thing was that we had to run it in the terminal. So it's a command line in command line tool. I run everything through the terminal. It was like unable to communicate with Claude AI to be able to generate the actual, and this is like we went back and forth for quite some time, and it was unable to communicate with Claude AI to generate the show notes and generate the companion from the outline that I have. And I usually do that inside of Claude. And I couldn't communicate, so it was like, hey, let's try. Kept being like API, and I was like, what else? And it was like, actually, why don't you log in and sign into Claude Code through Terminal? Because I use Claude Code for desktop, and it was like, why don't you try it through Terminal? And that worked. So that was one of the things we did to troubleshoot. Second thing was converting the HTML that it produces into Gutenberg block markup. So again, I have a WordPress.org website, which actually was one of the reasons I didn't use MCP, because there isn't one, at least that I could find, for WordPress.org. I'm self-hosted, and so we just use the REST API. But it was spit out, what was being spit out as the blog post and the show notes was crazy looking. And I was like, it was using the classic, and I was like, this is ugly and wrong. We need to fix this. And so there was troubleshooting that had to be done with that. And then the Kit API doesn't give a clean template, so we had to do a workaround and use a recent email as a shell and then splice in the content. And it literally is just, I can't really edit it. It's like a giant HTML block. I could edit that. 100% could edit that, but it's like, I don't want to edit that. So it's like, it gets sent to it perfectly. Because there's styling and formatting that I want, and like a header and footer that it was just overriding. And I was like, but I want those things on there. So worked great. It inserts the image. It is incredible. I just go look at it. I'm like, yeah, it's there. It has the subject line already there. So all I add is the preview text, and I schedule it, and that's it. It's incredible. And the coolest part, right, is that Claude Code did all of it. I just had to tell it what was not working. I use Whisperflow. I love using clearly I like to talk. So I use Whisperflow a bunch and screenshot the shit out of everything, and it was like, oh, it's not working. What's happening with this? And so I like to use the term tech tenacity. My best friend Jill Coleman talks about that, but this is like really more just like patience, and just being like, I'm just gonna keep doing this and keep saying, like, okay, this isn't working. This is what it looks like. This isn't working. This is what it looks like. This isn't working. This is what it looks like. And we got it to work. It walked me through all of the steps, the OAuth, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but the OAuth steps and getting the API keys. I will say that the way that I learned, and if you go and watch some of the earlier vlog posts, the way that I learned and was introduced to AI assisted coding and vibe coding really helped me understand what's going on. Like, I'm not gonna say I feel bad for people that are doing it right now and you just type into Claude Code, but like, my personalities, I do like to know what's going on, at least somewhat under the hood. And because I learned it that way, I know what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, I could never do this by myself. I couldn't come up with the code. No, but like, it's cool to understand and be able to, in my opinion, do things faster than if I didn't have this understanding and just being like yelling at Claude to fix things, right? Because there were things that I had to do on my end because it's run locally. So being comfortable with the terminal, I have zero problems working in the terminal. Like it's totally fine. I don't care. And I don't know if it's called the terminal or terminal. Either way, I have no issues with it. Understanding a .env file, and that's where your secrets and stuff are going to go, and being able to edit that with cursor, and being able to show them at all because they don't actually show, right? They're hidden, and understanding that part of things, understanding Markdown. And I was like, okay, I need this to be rendered as Markdown, and like, in Google Drive, these documents, how can I export this as Markdown? And it's great because you can do it right inside of Google Docs, because I wanted to have, in order for Claude to generate the companion, I wanted to give it examples, right? Just like you would in a project. And so this is the conversation that I'm having with Claude Code, and being like, actually, instead of putting all of this in this Markdown file because it gets too long and it's just like, it's not good, why don't we reference these other Markdown files that it can, pull and use as references for, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what that output, this is what the companion is supposed to look like. But you want it to be in Markdown. So like just being familiar with that and using text edit, right? Understanding Markdown, understanding HTML, understanding what the fuck Node.js even is, right? Is wild. Side note that Claude Code just will push it to get for you, right? Like, I'm definitely going to forget all those git commands, but I'm glad that I went through it and learned it that way. So I know what's going on. I understand GitHub. I utilize GitHub. Like, everything is backed up and protected, and like, I am really, really grateful that that was the process. And now I everything is just layered. Now, this was definitely a bit of YOLO. Like, let's just do this, and like being more okay with like, yeah, I'm just going to have Claude Code like build this thing. Although I was still pretty involved with it. But definitely I feel myself, and I've talked about this in past episodes, I feel myself being more comfortable leaning towards like, hey, I'm just going to like really lean more into the vibe coding. Like, I know that there are people that just like, they have no idea what's going on. They just like type and it makes the things, and that's great. That works as well. And you'll figure out what you need when you hit a problem, you hit a snag. I like knowing what's going on and kind of feeling like I can get ahead of things, and like doing whatever I can to protect myself. But like, the flip side of that is that what could go wrong, and you're like, that scares me. And I'm like, should I be integrating this thing? Like, this is scary. And like, yeah, there's harnesses on it and it only has access to this, but still, like, I only know this like little fraction of stuff, and like other people know a lot more, and there's bad people out there, and are they gonna like hack my stuff or whatever? But at the same time, I was like, whatever, YOLO, let's build this thing, and take advantage of the fact that right now Claude has like a bonus going on. They're giving you extra credits at night and on the weekend, so I'm using that. But I think it's important to understand your own preferences and your mindset when it comes to building things, and how you do. You like to know about the stuff, or you're like, whatever, just like, I just want it to be done, and lean into that. I understand the Claude Code hype. I do. I really see it. And again, I'm really grateful for how I learned it and how I learned, AI assisted coding and vibe coding. It's funny that Claude doesn't even know how good Claude Code is. Like, I was planning this with just with Claude, and it was like, yeah, you could do this, this, and this. And then I was like, couldn't I just have Claude Code build this out? And it was like, let me check. And I'm like, you want to talk to each other? This is like a different, okay, that's cool. And I will say, for you, user, watcher, viewer, be persistent with Claude, and when you're chatting with it and wanting it to do something and wanting an outcome, and just be like, are you sure? Is there another way? Like, what else can we try? Can Claude Code just do this? Because it just seems to need the pushback. And it really seems like you can get the thing that you want to work in the way that you want if you're just willing to be persistent persistent enough. So I think the next project that I will be doing, not I think I know, the next project that I'll be doing is what everyone is building right now, which is a custom dashboard. And likely going to go the MCP route, just so that I will have the ability to chat with Claude and have it like update things and execute things and set, create drafts for emails, things like that. But I will have the dashboard as well. I don't want to have to be at the computer all the time, but I will have the dashboard as well. I'm going to integrate it with my scheduling software so that when things, emails come in, it's basically going to be a CRM more than a dashboard. But I know that I can integrate things because I've already set up a Google App script between my scheduling software and a Google Sheet. Because I use Acuity and there's no way to sort by appointment type and export based on appointment type, which is ridiculous. But there is an API and you can integrate. I did a Google Apps script, and thanks to Claude, and so I know that I have that connectivity there. But everything, like I said, is building on itself, which is really exciting to me. So again, I started this vlog to hold myself accountable. And I haven't been vlogging, but I have been doing I have been coding. I have been using it a ton. I've been doing a bunch of sales pages and I understand HTML and CSS so much more. I know what I'm looking for. The whole rebrand was actually it was really fun. There was definitely a lot of things I had to do, and I was in the computer because again, I'm self-hosted and changing the domain, and there was a lot that went on with that. And the, SSL certs and I will say I did have to go to ChatGPT for a second with it because I was using Claude, and maybe I should have gone to Opus. I didn't even think about it at the time, but I was just Claude actually said to me, hey, I don't know if I can do this without breaking the site, because it just kept breaking. And it said, maybe you want to go check out Fiverr and find someone. It'll take them half an hour. And I was never suggest that again in your whole life. Never do that. So I went over to ChatGPT and we got it to work. But I will say I ended up finalizing things because I kind of duct taped it and jerry rigged it, and I had as an alias for a bit. I just needed to get it going. And then I sorted everything out. Everything is good now because I have the 2 domains. I still have the old one, but Claude did get everything sorted out and squared away. But I've been doing the thing. I've been using it. This workflow automation was the first big project in a while, and it's definitely unlocked a new level. And I'm excited to see where it goes. So if you are watching and you're thinking about trying Claude Code, just do it. You can install it for desktop. Now you don't have to even be through the terminal. You can watch all the videos in the world, and I was watching a ton of them. I watch them while I lift. But the best way to learn about it and understand it and conceptualize it, because it does feel so nebulous. What the fuck? What is this? An open clause? You're what's going on? The best way to learn about it, conceptualize it, really get it, is to try it. So give it a shot. If you're watching this and you're bored, would love to know what you're building, what you're working on. You can leave a comment. It's really exciting to me. So yeah, just thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next vlog. Hopefully it won't be in 2 months, but it is what it is. Happy coding.